Warning, this video may require a few watches. Reality is greater than words could ever capture, so consider this an invitation to get outside your own head. Breathe and slow down. You're safe here. Have you ever met someone who can honestly say they invented a new kind of art? Because I honestly did. And I think I slowed down time within it. The problem is, everyone's confused what's actually happening here. So let's break down the Poly-Fractal of meaning and innovation that I compressed into 60 seconds. You see, I'm in the business of making artifacts from the future. This is one of them. Prepare for patterns on patterns on patterns. Let's get the most technical part out of the way. This is how I turned a poem into a polyrhythm. A polyrhythm we will loosely define as two or more rhythms layered together. And this can come in different ways, but mostly this means that I took eighth notes, triplets, 16th notes, and put them right back to back, and inherently forced me to have a really good sense of time in order to navigate this. So you'll notice that there are tenutos for emphasis to keep me on time. The goal of this was to syncopate with parts of the song, which is why I have beats on that third line on the bottom. And finally, you'll notice weird subdivisions at the top. Well, it was tricky to figure out where the images were going to go. Each of these represents an image. And you'll notice that the song is at 140 BPM, but I knew I wanted the images at 1 frame per second or 60 beats per minute. So what I did was that I took all 36 measures, multiplied it by 8 for 8 eighth notes per bar, and then I divided it by 60 and ended up with a number around 4.75. So 4.75 eighth notes translates to 19 30-second notes. So each of these is 19 30-second notes apart. Math, myth, meaning. Oh my. This is the structure of the poem. I started with the top line and the bottom line and the mirror line, which is the middle. And I did second line, third line, third line. Notice that these are all inverts of one another, which is why this is the old frequency, and this gets converted into the new wavelength, right? And finally, the spirals, where it tapers is where it's specific, and where it's thick is where it's general. So this is one big progression. All right, so now we're gonna break down the images. I'm going to give how I describe them or what they are, and then also the corresponding lyrics. Don't forget to check the comments for the full poem. Mirrored spiral poetry. So this first one is Midnight Mirror Lake for Why Don't I? The second one is Rochester, Minnesota in the Winter for Care About Anything. This one is Between Faces for Who's Left to Care For. I call this one The Fall of God for Anymore. This one is Trauma Processing for Is Crying Alone. Fitting. Is this one Hope in the Grayness for Worth 15. This one I called The Effects of Loneliness for Cigarettes. Is Crying Alone worth 15 cigarettes? This one I called Psyche Sickness for A Face Not Even. Unnatural. This one, Healing Through Creativity for A Mother Could. If y'all want to see more drawings, just let me know. This one I called The Vitruvian Woman for Love. This came out of the Eskenazi Museum of Art. I don't know the actual name. Very sorry, but I think it's Hindu. This one is a general relativity representation I had AI draw for Gravitating from the. This one, Pink Floyd for Dark. If you don't know the reference, I'm really sorry. This one is a free Stanford lecture that I attended for supermassive black holes, and I put this for a black hole or home. This one I called Perpetual Surveillance for Used to Be, a Fermi. Who's the alien here? This one this one is just the Voyager 2 Golden Record for Paradox of Control. This one I called Dysregulated Nervous System for the first 2 syllables of depression, depressed, because I split it up. This one I called Behind the Smiles for shun, I needed, depression, I needed. This one is The Dangers of Not Healing for differentiation. This one is Leaving Daniel Again for As a Child and They Pessimize. These are the children that are being affected. This one is a classic Kermit suicide meme for emptiness is coldness. This is a map of the Poly crisis, which we'll cover quite a bit in the Atlas, and this is for Will I Die? This one I just called Strange Interconnects and Tidings for With Spirit, or this one, Indigenous Cosmologies for Science to Mind. This one came from the Heart Math Institute for Name and Is Time. Sorry, scroll. This one I just called a Time War for Just Subjective Entropy. This one is just Natural Cycles for Fear is the Serpent in the. This next one I called the Dance of Distortion for Garden, Gatekeeping, Any Compass. This is the Plane of Open-Heartedness where my heart cracked open and it hurt. For To the Great Beyond. This is the Cave of the Tao where I downloaded the Tao. For But the. This one is just flow, path, way, which are ways of describing the Tao. For Pole of the Soul. This one is the multidimensional soul, or is greater than. This one depicts surviving versus thriving for ego's push, so I'm open. This one is a LinkedIn resume. It's actually on my LinkedIn. Check out Gabe's there. I do some wild shit on there. For sourcing an atlas of everything. So I'm open sourcing an atlas of everything. Right? And then this one is the actual cover of said atlas for human, because love is the, right? And it leads right into my 7x7 chakra expansion chart for Flaming Sword of Ouroboros. And then lo and behold, he's here for the meta modern space cowboy times, I call it, which may be a real series at some point. For is space just the objective of? This one I just called the orbital perspective for energy. Who am? This one, it looks like the pause of God for who am I, but my remembered. And of course, we have memory Daft Punk for experience. This one, a human superconductor, also drawn by AI for I. This one, we'll just call it the Tree of Life for optimize wholeness as warmth. This is Jamie XX, one of the best albums of all time for I Want. This one, leftovers from cyclical wave analysis. This is an interesting one for integration as an adult. This one is Maslow's extended hierarchy of needs for an apex. This is Daniel Boone National Forest for where flowing. This is an ocean of Wu Wei, which is a Taoist principle for constellations. This is a dream grid for scale, constellations scale, a star dance. This is the all chemistry of breath for of. Now this one, this is the stress energy momentum tensor, rotated for recursive relativity. This is the sacred geometry of symbolism, which Jung and Einstein could agree upon, for radiating. This is the spirit of Gaia theory, for into the light. This is the future of space travel, for a father's. This just says that emotions are energies in motion, for pride aboard and astride. This one's fun. Madness and sadness, finding equilibrium, for is anger the fire. Look familiar? This one is my Aetherus pterodactyl phoenix spirit, for that cauterizes. This one is Space Society Systems of Spirit Science Singularity for Superhuman 7th-gen Symbiosis, S9, for the wounds. This one is what metamodern cultural perpetuity would look like for May I Rightly. This one is my all of us raving under one roof to awaken or Aurora concept, for care for you, should. This one we call the flashback from the frontier for anything care about. And finally, we have the law of divine oneness for me. Fitting.
The title.
That's why I chose my song Cosmic Trance for the video. It's made to intentionally go too fast, the whole thing.
Human is us.
Because if you want
Matter,
to actually
consciousness, experiment in
the images, you're gonna have to pause.
Multiplicative relationship, two-way street.
That being said, I will be throwing up the images onto my S9 page of GabeZayer.com for further investigations.
Equals homeostasis. Fractal, a pattern that is the same
That's
at
why
all
I chose my
scales
song
of
Cosmic Trance for the video. It's made to intentionally go too fast, the whole thing. Why?
So,
because
one
if you
human
want to
experience equals fractal consciousness.
The images, you're gonna have to pause
of the human
time
being
of the essence. That's why I chose my song Cosmic Trance for the video. It's made to intentionally go too fast, the whole thing. Why? Because if you want to actually see the images, you're gonna have to pause. See, time is of the essence. That being said, I will be throwing up the images onto my S9 page of GabeZayer.com for further investigations. Enjoy the 420. ever since I read MIT's meta-analysis on the multiverse, I'm starting to understand that reality is a little bit negotiable. So I've been changing the rules a little bit. My name is Gabe, and I've been working on an absurd project I call the Atlas of Everything Human. This consists of over 12,000 Google Doc pages of intentional dialogues of AI concerning trauma, identity, civilization, spirit, consciousness, and honestly, maybe even the fate of humanity. And that seems to be kind of important nowadays, you know? So yes, I said 12,000 pages, but I've been breaking them up into sort of roughly like 5 to 10 pages at a time. I've been putting them up on my website in digestible chunks, but also making YouTube videos that I've been posting to a dedicated Instagram that is also making this very accessible to a lot of people. However, I've been doing this for $0. As Will Latif Little once wisely said to me, trees give for free, and why don't we? And so ultimately, if money is a vote of where, we place our values, then ultimately I'm asking you to donate $5 to my Ko-fi, which is linked in my bio, or also in the picture right after this. But ultimately, I'm asking you, is this cultural artifact worth the price of a coffee? So you can go to my Ko-fi, you can either buy me a coffee, or you can buy one of the products on there that's sort of a miniature soul offering, and let's create the future together, y'all. Let's spiral forward. Peace and love.
Who's that? Can't vote anymore. Is crying alone worth 50 cigarettes? It's not even a mother color. Gravitating from the top. A black hole where home used to be a firm paradise. Control depression. I need a differentiation as a die vapors and my emptiness as coldness. Will I die with spirit or science to my name? It's time just to the victory. Fear is serving in the garden gatekeeping any compass to the great beyond. But the polar soul is greater than egos. Push on, open sourcing an atlas of everything human. Because love is a flame sort of or reverse. Is space just the objective of energy? Who am I but my remembered experience? I optimize wholeness as war. I want integration as an adult. An apex where flowing constellations scale. A star dance, a recursive relativity. Radiating into the light. A father's pride bold in the stride. Is anger the fire that cauterizes the wounds? May I rightly care for you? Should anything care about me?